Governor Strickland kind of weighed into the tax debate that's going on in Washington today, saying that he would support the deal that's been cut. Your impressions, just reading from Ohio, looking at Washington and kind of the deal that's going on there?
Oh, when I was in Washington, I had an opportunity to tell the president directly that extending the tax cuts permanently made great sense. Keeping capital gains taxes and taxes on dividends low is critical. I mean, the only thing I would say that I regret about it is it's temporary, and you can never really measure how a business is going to plan if they have a temporary situation. But, you know, that's the best they can get. I would expect that extending not just the tax cuts for all Americans, but also keeping the taxes lower on capital gains and dividends will help the economy. So, you know, when it came out with it and they announced it, I never doubted that it would get the votes. I think they'll go back and forth and all that stuff. It's one of the reasons I'm glad I'm not there. I don't have to walk back and forth 15 times for some kabuki dance. But it's just been interesting to, it's not interesting. I was bored on Sunday and I watched a little bit of the news about it, but it's going to happen.
Senator Voinovich make a good point, though, that it doesn't pay for itself.
Well, look, I'm not going to comment on all the individual votes. I'm just telling you what my position is on it. And I'm a believer that you need to cut taxes and control spending, not just cut taxes. And so, you know, like in our state, by the way, I just read the other day that Ohio has lost more population than every other state in the country except for 2. So, you know, people exiting the state, God, it's just a terrible situation. And of course, we know we're losing a couple congressmen, which means we lose some clout. We have to reverse that. Please don't bang her in the head with that camera.
No. You sure?
Do you have a position?
Well, I'm not for you being hurt like that. Come on.
Governor, do you care to offer a position on whether Mike Steele should get a second term at the RNC?
No, you don't think I'm getting into that. No way am I getting into that.
You mentioned that Ohio is third in population loss. There was a census report that came out just recently showing that a number of cities, particularly in the Dayton area, where the home occupancy rate is less than 50% now. So looks like there's more and more rentals, and it's sort of an aftermath of the foreclosure crisis. Do you have any plan for how to address that?
About housing?
Yeah, housing.
Well, look, I think the single biggest problem that we have is that, you know, we've got 10.1% unemployment and people are underemployed. And I think in addition to that, I believe at some point we need to have a meeting with the lending community and with small business to talk about capital. And I also am a believer in forbearance. And I would, you know, probably during that meeting, I'd also want to ask the banks about their policy on forbearance. And you know, it's just a difficult time for everybody, but I'm obviously concerned about it. But the best thing we can do to get rolling on this is to keep jobs here, expand employment here, bring new jobs into the state.
Governor, I understand you're going to spend some time this week with Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow, I think, to Cleveland.
County executive.
Yeah, I was just having lunch rooting against LeBron again.
Yeah. What sort of messages will you carry?
I want to know what he needs to be able to run his city and have more flexibility, and to kind of let him know who I am. I think we have some mutual friends. So I met with Mayor Mallory last week in Cincinnati, and I talked to the mayor of Toledo here, I guess it's probably about 2 weeks ago, and I'll get to see him. Just get around and see all the mayors. Never know if you're going to be in mayor's court, you know.
Will you talk to him also about
so you got to use a little humor,
feelings on the issues such as the collective bargaining, which you mentioned some of the mayors being in?
Well, you know, Reggie, I know that you know, the collective bargaining, giving mayors, managers more flexibility in order to run their cities and control their costs. I'm sure that some of the big city mayors are going to be belly aching about it while they have their fingers behind their back with their fingers crossed, being happy they're going to get a little flexibility. Look, we want to let all of our governmental leaders, whether they're schools or whether they're cities, have a greater ability to manage their resources, because we don't have all the resources. So I'll be interested to see what he wants and what he needs. I know that he had a very good meeting with Speaker Batchelder on a situation up in Cleveland in terms of the schools. I mean, it's just good to talk. It's good to have a dialogue. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
A Lake County official yesterday made the comment that we've heard that we might be facing an $8 billion deficit statewide, but we saw the revenues they were actually a little better than what we thought they were a few days ago. But this Lake County official says he's preparing for a $14 to $15 billion deficit. Is there any reason to worry that the deficit is going to be way greater than what we think it is?
Well, I think what we have to worry about is we're losing population and jobs. That's what I worry about. We don't really know what the numbers are yet. I mean, the numbers have not been put together. So it's always best to prepare for, do you remember when you had the fatted calf, Colonel? And then when you had the fatted calf, things were good. You put the grain in the barn for that when you ended up with a bad situation. In fact, that's how Joseph got to be big cheese over there in Egypt. I think it's always good to prepare, but we don't have any indication of that these numbers have gotten much worse. We don't know. I mean, to me, it's amazing. We don't know. I still do not have a revenue report. So I think they're working on it at this point, is what I was just told yesterday, that tax people are looking at some numbers, but right now we just don't have them.
When do you think you might get that? That's pretty important, isn't it?
I'm not in charge. So, I will be, but I'm not now. We just don't have the numbers. I don't know. I don't know. Can't answer that. Whenever they do what they do, those number adders, and then we'll have a sense. I think the reason it probably wasn't done is because they didn't want any bad news hanging around before an election. I don't know. Do you have an opinion about
No, I
why
had another
that?
question.
Yeah, oh, you did?
How long is it going to take you to fill
I
your...
didn't say I was going to answer.
Oh, okay. Well, I can ask it still, right?
Yeah, you can. General will decide.
How long do you think it'll take to fill all your cabinet positions, and do you expect that you'll keep any of the Strickland people?
Well, I think, first of all, I think we're moving pretty well. I'm satisfied with the pace. We're going to have a few more announcements this week. Okay, and that'll be good. I really don't want to get into who we're going to keep and who. We'll just, each announcement, I think, will tell the tale. But I asked George Voinovich. I said, "Do you have any advice?" He said, "Well, when it comes to building the cabinet, take your time." So, but I think we're doing quite well. I'm pleased with where we are. I'm pleased with the people we've announced so far. I'm thrilled with the Colonel. I just think this is a historic event. I mean, she's experienced. She's, there's some challenges right now up there in the Guard, as I think we all know. There's a few things going on. She and I have talked about it. She's prepared to deal with it. I think anytime you have a big organization, you have personnel challenges. She's going to have to rebuild some positions because a lot of people retiring who had planned to retire before she came on. I think she's got a big job. I hope to work with her closely. It's just fantastic. I have, as I tell them all the time, I have those two 10-year-old daughters, and it's just so fantastic to see that you could have made it up there. I mean, and she seems so nice. She's darn tough. I wouldn't cross her if I were you. So, so far so good. And this to me is a historic day, and it's her day. And I hope she'll be recognized for what she's accomplished in her life. And I think we all feel sorry for anybody that has a father that's going through the difficult circumstances that she's going through. And we're glad that he knows what happened today, though. Is that right? I mean, he can...
He did for that brief moment,
yeah, that's what we hope and pray for
right.
that. And probably the good Lord said, let him know. So it got through.
Well, I have one more question.
Yeah, speaking of your cabinet appointments, Mary Taylor said that she's interested in commerce. Do you plan to appoint her to the commerce?
We'll just have to have you come and see your smiling face and at some later date in regard to commerce, Reggie. Can't wait.
Yeah, I had a question on calamity days. The snow days were down to 3 days.
You know what? My daughter, one of my daughters, was lobbying me on calamity days the other day.
She registered?
She is not.
Lobbyist?
I'm going to bring that up to her tonight.
Okay,
she was pressuring me on that.
Is 3 days enough?
Let's check the. I said, "Are you kidding me, sweetheart? I'm not answering your question. I don't know enough about this. This has got more people stirred up. I have to just see what they're talking about here and what makes the most amount of sense and what my daughters will sign off on. And I mean, maybe it's, I don't know, I have to check with my wife on that too.
Colonel, on your budget.
I don't know yet. I know it's a subject that people in Ohio are concerned about. I just haven't focused on the calamity days, because if I give you an answer, I'm going to make a lot of people upset if I give you the wrong answer. So I want to get this straight so I don't have my kids locking the door on me when they see me coming up the walk.
Is it both girls that are lobbying, or just one?
Only one came, you know, look, as
One, Emma or Reese?
you know, Reese is the one who wants to be the president, and Emma wants to be the doctor, and as you know, we're supporting Emma strongly. And, but it was Reese that brought this up to me. You know, what the heck is going on here?
Colonel, on the budget and the Guard, given the state of Ohio's budget, regardless of whether we know what the real numbers are or not, have you spoken with your new boss about whether you need more funds, whether you're going to get flatline, whether you'll get less, and what do you need to have in the way of state funding to get the job done?
We have not had the opportunity. I look forward to working with the new administration on how we are going to handle the budget issues. Goodness for the Ohio National Guard is that the state is only a portion of our budget. We have a lot of federal funds and a lot of opportunities to mix those to funds for the betterment of the organization, to make sure we maintain the readiness of our forces. And I don't expect it to be a difficulty.
So this one thing, the Colonel's stepson is here. He's a policeman.
Yeah, why are we in this building?
Where is he here?
He's right behind us.
He's right here, and he's a Columbus policeman. Her husband is on the city council here in Hilliard, and we're here because they live here. And anybody else you want?
That's my brother back there in the Air Force uniform, so we've got a little diversity in the services here. And
boy, I tell you, I don't know how you're going to deal with this. Huh?
It's been tough growing up as a big brother, I'll tell you.
It's going to do a lot of push-ups.
All right, thank you all very much.